You saw him out there in Country Fest. So I'll talk to her. I actually brought them downstairs.
For what?
They're the blueprints for those.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go to my office and.
Cool. Nice.
Make sure you highlight that.
What's that?
So make sure you highlight the longest drive there.
And I might pose you guys when when I might ask you to like look up or smile or maybe just
Okay.
you know.
Do you want me to print out prints for the distribution center?
No, I mean it's
Go over to color elevations?
the actual prints themselves aren't going to be important in terms of what's on there. But
Bathroom prints.
yeah, this was sort of the bathroom prints where, basically we were just demoing that area. I think for the most part. Did you actually see a bathroom, Ryan? Being done?
Not being done. I've seen before and after.
Is this is like Chambersburg, right?
This is like
Remember
this is like majority of the bathrooms.
Okay, so you're walking in and then a left and a right type of thing.
Correct.
Were the urinals, or is this how it was set up with on this wall?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think Chambersburg is actually going to be one of the bathrooms that we're doing. So
Really?
yeah. For
What about Staten Island get approved yet, or?
now, they're still going through some permitting type of stuff. So yeah. So, but I may, depending on Pat has 30 of them next year, so we're gonna figure out if we're gonna have just one project manager with him for all the projects,
Yeah.
or different project managers with him for the type of job that is.
I've so for the bathrooms that are set up on the rear this is what most of them look like,
Right.
and then I would say 80% of them look like this. There's also a handful of bathrooms that when you walk in, I would say there's the hallways that go this, and they
Right.
separate men's and women over here. But for the most part, they all look, as far as urinals, toilets, and whatnot, they all look like that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
the ones on the front of the store have pretty much all been, from what I've seen, are all new and updated. They look like they've been recently.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Could you guys like shake hands, maybe pretend like you're like I don't know, just maybe pretend like you're like making a deal or something. You just want to show the friendliness of your
Okay.
office environment.
Okay.
Maybe because yeah, if you want to do that, I mean you can do that too if you want to kiss him or just.
Okay. Great.
I wish I would
What's
worked
that?
on my acting before I came here, you know?
I know. That's funny.
That's perfect, guys. That's awesome.
Don.
Chuck, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Good.
He caught us on the day. We're doing some video in the office for a website, so
great.
he's just gonna follow us,
Oh, okay.
follow me around all day. As
No
a
problem.
deal with people and so forth and so on. But come on in. Let's talk a little bit about how we can be real. How was your trip in?
Not bad.
Good.
Where are you in Florida?
What's that?
Where are you in Florida?
I'm in Dallas.
You're in Dallas.
Yeah, northwest
You're
of
in
Dallas. Yeah.
The home office though is in Atlanta, right?
Home office is in Atlanta.
Is that where
yeah.
Juan and them are?
Yeah, Juan is in Atlanta.
Okay.
And then Atlanta, Georgia, Glendale, Arizona, and then Rutland, Vermont.
Okay.
Are plants. Probably more of the material you guys get is from Rutland,
Okay.
Vermont.
Yeah,
So
most of the Northeast stuff I
Yeah.
imagine comes out
Yeah.
there.
that's usually like cross our fingers, a 1 to 2 day
For the
route.
most part, it's been smooth. For the most part.
Do they all batch the same truck? So batch sizes for this are basically consistent from all different parts of the
Yeah.
country for the most part? Okay.
Yeah, we, same formula is used between all 3 plants.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
we try to, usually guys like you aren't gonna be going to California and doing
Right.
work, so, but usually, that handles the whole. That is was our original plant.
Oh, is it? Oh, great.
Yeah, back when the Stokemasters came over from Germany and started the company.
Okay. Rutland, Vermont, where is? How about that?
Yeah, there's an interesting story.
Is there
Yeah,
the
snow is-
skiers or snow or?
Well, yeah, I think the guy that convinced the Stokemasters to come to the States, he liked to ski.
Oh,
He's right next to
okay.
Killington right there.
Is that right? Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah, it's interesting if you look at the history of EIFS, Experience Limited
Sure.
Fish Systems, It was developed by the Stokemeister cement lime plant in Germany.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, in 1952. And then we had one of our competitors went and bought the rights to bring it over here to the States.
Right.
And they came over here like in 1969 and they introduced what's known as Drive It.
Okay.
I've been with Stowe around about 24 years now.
Wow.
Yeah,
No kidding.
I was a journeyman plasterer in the field in Texas. And,
Okay.
didn't think I wanted to do that till I was, of all places, Rutland, Vermont. So I had
Wow.
to move from Dallas to Rutland.
Big change. Big change.
So this used to be my territory. I used to be the technical trainer for Stowe.
Okay.
So I would come down into Philly, Jersey.
Customers is Ron or Ryan. What's the difference between Stowe and Drive It? What's that 30-second answer?
Well,
Is there a 30-second answer?
well, it's EIFS. We're known for our EIFS system,
Right.
exterior insulation
Sure.
and finish systems.
Yes.
And we have some generic systems, but we also have some systems like some proprietary systems like our Lotus effect. So if you build a new building with an EIFS system, CVS, for example, is our national account.
Okay.
And they exclusively use Stowe lit Lotus on
Okay.
as the finish.
As the finish, right.
So
Okay.
there's kind of the differentiator there is that,
Okay. So, but I mean, Drive It still exists as a company.
yeah, they manufacture
Is-
EIFS systems.
Is there any, and they were given the rights for 10 years to come
Yep.
over to the U.S.
Friendly competitor. We all sit on the board of EMA,
Okay.
which is the EIFS Industry Manufacturers Association.
Okay.
So Drive It, Stowe, Synergy, the big,
Right,
the
the
big
players.
players in the marketplace.
Okay.
What we do, we set the standards for EIFS.
Okay.
So usually, one of our executives is on the executive in keeping the standards of EIFS.
Right.
So some interesting innovations. I don't know if you guys do a lot of EIFS or seen a lot of
We don't. So we're primarily, for the last 25 years, I've been a coatings contractor.
Okay.
Or we've been a coatings contractor, so deal with a lot of epoxies and things of that nature. Last probably 2.5 years ago, Chuck, we started a construction division.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we're doing a lot of construction remodels for Depot. We're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Lowe's, we're doing some restaurant remodels.
Right.
Target, we've done some waterproofing type of things. Their Starbucks, we're just getting in their buildings. So, and it's not just those three brands. We're just seeing, masonry building enclosures across the country failing for a variety of reasons. And I sort of took this tack maybe a decade ago. Like, it's okay to throw paint on, but if we're not going to really assess the entire building and say, you know what, we have some moisture issues here, or we have this here that's going to affect the longevity or the useful life of a paint job, what real service are we giving to this customer? So we've started really sort of looking to obtain that useful life for that coating. Coatings have come a long way in the last couple of decades, but there's still some issues out there that will affect any coating, and you know how coatings get blamed or contractors get blamed when you have a substrate failure. That we've seen some buildings, Chuck. A lot of these things just flew up in the 90s, right?
Mhm.
We couldn't get boxes up quick enough, and whether they're winter builds or this or that, we're seeing some systemic problems with these buildings that went up during that time period, and now we're being asked, with a $100,000 paint job to fix everything, and it's just not in the cards at some point. And so that, at least that's what we're running to in the field. You'd probably have a unique perspective as well in terms of what you're seeing.
Well, it's interesting you say that because KTA Tater,
Sure.
those guys,
Yeah.
they were kind of
Pittsburgh.
the consultant for Lowe's, and they were doing some studies on why these Lowe's building, why the coating, especially on the lumber wall, where the coatings were just blowing off.
Sure.
And it was, determined it was an excessive amount of moisture. It had to do with probably the block fill that they used at the time, and the 9 different layers of paint that's on the wall.
Sure.
It's basically sealing it up, and moisture's not able to travel out.
Right.
That's where we kind of got involved.
Okay.
To where we said, help design a breathable system for Lowe's.
Right.
And we've seen this happen time and time again on these single block walls because, like you said, the construction schedules are going up so quick, moisture's trapped in the walls, the lumber, and say, for example, you did a removal of that lumber wall that had a horrible problem, and you go back with our primer block fill type product, 2
Right.
coats, and then 1 coat of the Lotus on.
Right.
And we tested that system, and KTA came up with like somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 perms.
Okay.
That system
Allowed to.
was allowed to breathe.
Right.
Whereas everybody else was saying, throw elastomeric on it.
Mm.
You know, I remember going early on with these guys, I went to like a symposium on coatings, and they had a paint man. The problem already.
Right.
You know, so that started on some of the worst Lowe's projects that they had, like I said, about 4 years
Okay,
ago.
okay.
And then it kind of proved itself to where, you know, in some cases they did a full removal of that wall, and in some cases they did a partial removal.
Sure.
And it was kind of determined that maybe what is blown off and what is taken off is pretty much all that's gonna, you know, as long as you can get that off of there and leave what's on there,
Sure.
and then recoat the whole thing, you're still gonna have a breathable system.
Okay.
So,
And that's sort of the tack we're taking with Target right now. We're working with Leo.
yeah,
Two days. Okay, yeah. So Leo and
Mike Finner.
Yep. Mike's a great guy. You know, there is the cost benefit analysis associated with stripping a whole
Yep.
strip.
Yep.
And we are trying to develop a scientific case to maybe put that stripper on, whatever comes off, 30, 40, 50%.
Yep.
Do you need to then reapply stripper and reapply it to
Right.
get it to 95%? Well, we can get 90 to 95% of it off, and that's what we're trying to figure out now. It's real difficult. What stripper is it? Not the safe
Face
stripper?
acting strippers.
Oh, so the FAS is
Product.
it's pretty aggressive,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
doing a decent job. And we've tried many, but that seems to be cutting through a lot of these coatings out there. We're trying to figure out, you know, at the end of the day, because we think there's gonna, you know, 2 or 3, 4 years out, we think there's gonna be a lot of these types of problems.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we're working
Yeah.
our butts off to figure out what the best how to breathe.
You know, in cases at Lowe's, and knock on wood,
Yeah.
I have not seen any come off yet
Okay.
of our coat. Now, I've seen some this year where the contractor did some of that, and then more of the original coating came off. They
Okay.
called us out, hey, your stuff gray that's on there. So I can't tell you absolutely positive, but in the tests that we've seen, it has worked.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think we can go in, and that's, again, what we do with Lowe's, give us your worst case scenario.
Sure.
I've built,
We've done a couple of those projects for Lowe's as well, as far as
Yeah.
like stripping the entire wall, doing, you know,
Yeah.
50% strips, and I mean, for the most part, it comes out great. We've worked on a couple of stores that were painted, I think, in the last 2 or 3 years. And if you say you've been working with those for 4 years, you can tell. I mean, you can tell what are the updated stores that, and you can tell as soon as you peel it off, it's just that dark gray.
Yep.
You know, with
yeah, that white chalky,
Exactly.
the block fill that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
on there, yeah.
Same problem. And I think it was actually Kevin Parsons who I had discussed with at length, you know, what we're going to do about the protocol for this strip. It was actually Kevin who also led me to believe that, you know what, Ronnie, we're having some success with a partial restrip, allowing that moisture to sort of to sort of leave the substrate in a way that's not pushing the rest.
I mean, the nice thing now is, before we didn't have anything 4 years ago, we're like, oh, okay, maybe it'll work, but now we got a 4-year track record
Sure.
where we're, you know, with Lowe's exclusively. And now we have that story that we can tell
Right.
to these guys.
Right.
And, you know, I've dealt with Mike and Leo, and before them, Blake Grossa.
Sure.
I can't think of the guy before, but, and I work with John Fole.
Don't know John.
John is
Blake
the
I know.
architectural side, new
Okay.
construction, and our Stowe East is basis of what I'm hearing. That didn't go well for Target
Oh,
financially.
No,
I guess, so.
no, it's I think it's an operational thing, but no,
Yeah.
I know it's they're taking a few lumps up there.
Yeah. The stores went fine, the remodels went fine, but I think they kind of, you can't go up and tell Canadians what they want, you know?
As much as they think they're American sometimes.
Yeah,
they're,
yeah. They're
there's
their
a
own,
certain independent pride, and yes, no,
it is definitely a different country.
no doubt,
So.
no doubt. How about that?
But yeah, so I've worked with John on that side, and then, you know, got in with Blake, and and Mike Fenner later on. And we just want to, offer them the solution that we've given the Lowe's, and also to, other big boxes, Walmart, moving forward from Lowe's, where do we go from here? Right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
there's a lot of others out there that
Asked me what I was up to. I said, Stowe's coming into the office tomorrow. And he said, who are you dealing with? I said, Chuck Duffin. I forgot your last name. I said,
Yeah.
Chuck Duffin. He goes, oh, Chuck Duffin. So he said, and I told him about a Lowe's experience and the fact that the, in his opinion, and I don't know where you guys are at with this, the second issue is they feel that they're paying more money for the product. Kurt, this is Chuck. I don't know if you guys know.
Chuck!
Kurt.
How you doing? I've met you
Nice to
before.
meet you.
But Leo's second point to me was, Ron, I feel that we're paying more money for the product because it's being...
Stowe is we're a small company.
Okay.
So the nice thing about that is we can do a lot of different things. I don't have a lot of layers. I can call our CEO tomorrow or today and say, here's what we need to do.
Sure.
And I can get it done. So that's the nice thing about it. It's just, trying to figure out what the market needs.
Mhm.
And Lowe's, we've never done anything like this before.
Okay.
And it was horrible.
Sure.
It was horrible because now it's me talking to the distributor, hey, would you please? What we have now, I know we got some issues with freight, but everything you guys order leaves the plant on time. And, the freight issue is something I want to talk about is I have no control over it. It's just, I had a meeting with our logistics people. What can we do? We're actually starting now to guarantee loads. Where we kind of analyze where we've had issues at, and from here out, we're paying an extra $50 to $100 a load to guarantee ship to that location. The problem with that, it'll be there.
That's what I was wondering. We actually had to send somebody up there to pick it up.
Yeah, you finally had to pick somebody out there to pick it up.
In your defense, though, that's the first hiccup we've had out of 30, 35 stores that we've actually had. So compared to other manufacturers that we're using, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, but
He's
that's...
defending the...
But I'm saying that...
He's such a soft.
But no, you're up as far as the mobile app that we're using. I mean, it's hands down the best one I've used. Products, and for Lowe's, there's 10 approved.
Yeah.
Has the colors, everything that you need. You put in how many fives you need, put the PO number in, it's there in 3
Is that
days.
it?
That's all you gotta do.
I haven't used the app.
No, but you saw it. It was
I saw it, but I didn't.
demonstrated.
I didn't.
down there.
Was it? It was demonstrated?
Yeah, I went through it at the meeting.
I was
So
I was paying attention.
okay.
I was there.
But yeah, it's a very simple thing. It's just a link to a website. And the nice thing about that is, if you know anything about SAP,
Sure.
SAP is what
Newtown Square, right up the street from us.
it connects us to 66 different countries that we're Stowe's at. So, and also Germany, Weitz in Germany. So when we introduced that several years ago, the Germans wanted us on it because everybody else in the world was on it. We have to be on it.
Sure.
What a headache. I mean, to
to implement SAP
Yeah.
is as expensive as the software. And I'm surprised to say you're on. It's very expensive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
over Oracle, and obviously it's way above what we have
Oh,
in our little
yeah,
company. But
absolutely.
even that's impressive that you're on
Yeah,
it, because I
yeah.
think once you're fully engaged and on it, it's very good.
Well, we're fully engaged. So, and the deal was, before you say, hey, the QAP program, everything that we have in place, that no, Ryan can't just go pick up that pail. We got to do this, and and to have that pail sitting there waiting for you.
Sure.
So that's kind of a problem there. But when we came up with the mobile app, we had to get our IT guy in the queue.
Right.
It's ready to go. So that was our issue. Everybody was sending manual orders to Wanda, and if it's Friday afternoon or whatever, she may not see it till Monday morning, or she takes a day of vacation or something
Right.
like that. But
Right.
here, it's in the queue. So,
That's great.
and we're constantly, working to upgrade that. The one issue we have, SAP doesn't recognize that.
Okay.
So we actually have a box on there. After it's somewhere in there, I can't remember where it's at.
It's your last. It's
like a
so
little
you order
comment
it,
box.
so you
Yeah.
check what you need, and then is there any other additional
Yeah.
colors that you need?
Yeah, And then you put 10 pails of Lotus sign, color number, PP, whatever, you know.
Now, has there been any discussion as far as for us, I know Wanda's client is Trepdan. Trepdan is 10 minutes down the road. Now, if we run into any issues as far as shipping and whatnot, is there any have the tints and whatnot? So we
The Lotus colors, you have, for example, C48 basic uses, it costs about $140.
Chuck, this is Don over quick.
Donna, nice to meet you.
Don
Hey,
works
Don.
with our national account, so Chuck works with
Hey,
national
John.
accounts. Okay.
Hi, John.
John, you want to come in? You can come in. John's one of our main foremen. This is Chuck.
Hey, John.
Who else do we have?
Donna, hello. What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
That's
Yeah,
Donna.
it was raining.
Donna.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. What's up?
Hi,
Who else?
Donna. This is John Cornbach.
Hi, John. Nice to meet
John
you.
does
Who else do we have coming
Lowe's,
in?
Targets, he does a lot of her work for us.
Hey, Ryan. Who else?
Chuck is not coming, he's in New York.
Okay. Anyone?
He started with her.
I'm
New
sorry?
hire? The new hire?
Ted.
Ted.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't
fair
hear a
enough.
response from him.
Okay. So, Chuck, do you have like a presentation that you wanted to give to us necessarily, or PowerPoint?
Not
or,
really.
Okay.
Not
Because
really.
I think specific business issues and probably how we can leverage each other.
Yeah.
But that being said, for a general audience, probably, who else? Nick's coming in and maybe Donna. So we might as well move to the training room. If you just
Okay.
want to give like a general, and probably, John's put a lot of it on. Donna's relatively new to the paints and coating side.
Okay.
She has a lot of contracting experience with ground up and so
Excellent.
in terms of
Okay.
building, but she has that experience. Nick has a lot of construction experience. So, maybe, how much time do you have, Chuck?
My flight leaves at 4, I think.
Okay, great. So we'll probably, it's 10:20 now. My sense is that we'll go, if we could probably take it till noon in terms of just an
Yeah.
overall meeting with everybody. Let's have that interaction with Chuck, and then at that point, we'll split off with us, and then, maybe we'll grab a bite or whatever.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Get you on the way to the
That's
airport. So let's on head over to the training room if that works.
Hey, Dylan. Yeah. Talk to, Bill.
We're doing
He's wrapping up.
If you want to sit in the training room with us, it might be helpful for you to listen, all right? Nick, we're gonna be in the training room. You want to jump on in? Kurt? What? Can you grab Nick? There's
So,
Nick.
I told Chuck again, actually looks good for the presentation.
All right, guys, thanks for coming in. So some people trickled in and we just started engaging with Chuck as soon as he got in here. For those who haven't met him, this is Chuck Duffin. He's from Stowe, and I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with Stowe, but right now we're using a Lotus coating for a lot of the Lowe's work that we're doing. We've used Stowe for Target as well. And most of you guys know me, our relationship with our vendors and suppliers is as important as our relationship with our subcontractors and our employees as well. So it's important that we continue to develop this relationship with Stowe. Chuck has a tremendous amount of experience and will continue to teach us some different things that are currently going on out in the field. John's probably physically put on thousands of gallons of Stowe, so John can also chime in, and John, we're very open, so we'd love to constantly hear what your experience is with it. My sense about Stowe is that 5 years from now, will probably be 50% of the product that we'll be putting on. So I see a tremendous upside to Stowe Coatings and the Stowe brand as we approach some of these retailers. They need a solution. And, Chuck said it best when, years ago when we had this knee jerk is to pressure wash it, remove any loose coating, and we're gonna cover it with an elastomeric. We're gonna cover it with elastomeric. And you know what, if you've been in the paint industry more than 10 years, it worries me. Because the default is we're gonna throw thick coatings on and we're gonna protect it. And actually the customer sometimes wants that too. How thick is that? Is it 5.5 mils? And it's hard for me to say, well, actually, you don't want that many mils for it. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I think that the industry or the customer is gonna realize that 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 mils of coating on these buildings are not allowing them to breathe correctly, trapping moisture itself as a function of it. So I'll let Chuck take over. It's very interactive, ask a ton of questions, and you know, I plan to probably have this dialogue go to about 12 o'clock. All right?
Okay,
Sure.
great. Thank you, Ron.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for taking the time today. I appreciate that. And yeah, just to start a little bit, this will be a little review for Ron and Ryan, but those of you who don't know a lot about Stowe, we started as a cement and lime plant in Weizen, Germany in the early 1850s. And the Stoepmeister family, which is what we know of as Stowe today, Stowe is short for Stoepmeister. Stoepmeister family had a cement and lime plant in Weizen, Germany. And then as the years progressed, they actually developed a product called synthetic resin plaster. Synthetic resin plaster was developed after World War II when a lot of rebuilding was going on in Europe. They developed a product that they needed a product that was going to be very flexible and very easy to work with. So they developed a synthetic resin plaster, which is what was eventually developed into what we know as EIFS, Exterior Insulation and Finish System. It was developed by the Stoepmeister family in about the early 50s, 1954, I believe. And so that product was developed over there, was brought over to the United States about 1969 by one of our competitors. And then we came, a few years ago, the EIFS industry, and you guys may have heard this about, they had kind of an upheaval about the barrier systems and trapping water,
Sure
and
did.
people had all these issues about how EIFS is bad.
Sure.
And where other manufacturers were kind of rolling over and settling lawsuits and paying out thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, we said, no, it's not the system. The system does not leak, does not allow water in. It's the building practices that you're doing. So what we did, we started developing different systems and different building practices and alerting people to the building practices that need to be used. One thing to come out of that was we developed a fluid applied air moisture barrier. And you guys have a paper wrap type product that you put on a building that flaps in the wind and still lets water in and and allows the building to breathe. But the fluid applied air moisture barrier, and this can go behind brick, block, any other building construction material, and eaves and stucco. So we kind of led that. We have what we call our Stowe Gold Coat, and we have different products in that line that we use for fluid applied air moisture barriers. So now, air moisture barrier on the exterior of the building, you completely waterproof the building before you even put the system up. So now you've got a system that if any incidental moisture does get in around penetrations,
What is the fade warranty?
the fade warranty for the blue and the red is it's 10 years, but the stipulation is clear on it again. And then the warranty extends for another 5 years. And there's a level, we actually gave Lowe's a level, we can offer that to them. The product that you guys are using there is our Stocoat Acryl Plus. That is our highest polymer product. Product was developed about 20 years ago in Florida to be a deck coating on balcony decks in Florida. It used to be called what we call PCC, protective concrete coating. So it's a phenomenal product. And Target, for example, Target Red, I remember my first meeting with the guys at Target, in 5 years, we want to see Target Red, we don't want to see Target Pink.
Right.
All right, that was an interesting case because they had a manufacturer they used for years and years and years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Brother-in-law.
Yeah, so, but now,
Seeing like Walmart, have you seen Walmart, their blue is fading?
oh, yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, have you approached them?
Yeah, Walmart, Best Buy,
Okay.
we just got in with Best Buy, issues with.
Yeah.
As I think Lowe's has had an issue with their blue in the past, so, again, 4 or 5 years now, we've had a pretty good track record so far. I don't know of one that we've gone back and repainted. So, I mean, we know there's gonna be, South Florida somewhere on
Putting on the Stowe. What are your thoughts about it every day on the job site?
The only thing I really see is the mud cracking.
Yep.
I mean,
It's a good point.
that's.
Yep.
It's tough on our smaller homes. I know you guys,
So for Donna, who's relatively new, so Kurt, I'll let John explain that. So for Donna, who's relatively new to the paints and coatings, how would you describe mud cracking, John?
it,
What's the appearance, first of all?
well, it's not a flat, continuous,
It's very thick, right?
well, yeah, but
Have you ever seen drywall mud that you put on real heavy when it
Right,
dries
right.
what to do? That's what's called mud cracking.
So very small little cracks need to be probably 12 inches from the substrate to actually see it.
Right.
Because there's small little hairline cracks.
So what do you do?
Throughout.
And so, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we're struggling with putting it on too thin versus putting it on too thick, and you constantly have that battle, is that what you
well, some of the substrates, like, different buildings weren't able to back roll, like the corrugated tilt-ups. There's just no sense. So we're trying to put it on, we're trying to get even consistency, so it's like either not enough or we're
Right.
getting too much.
Yeah.
But it even seems like when we're doing a consistent, just a smooth block wall, we're still getting
Mhm.
mud cracking.
Yeah, and
So it becomes a little bit more labor intensive, right?
Well, there's really not, I mean, we're still spraying and back rolling just the same way we would do with any product, any
Yeah.
substrate.
a good example of this, you do not want it to be going on too heavy. And like John was mentioning, the situations where you have a fluted tilt-up, right, something like that, where you cannot roll it, you can't back roll it. And typically, the guys will put it on a little heavier in areas, and then you'll get that, it's surface tension from you, which you got that soft behind, and then the face of it dries very quickly, and then it cracks at that point. We are addressing to use smaller tips, the 517, I believe.
Yeah, but it seems like, we're going through tips like
Yeah,
unbelievable. They're
Okay.
just blowing the tips out. The primer is the hardest.
yeah,
Like, you'll get halfway down a 400-foot wall and you're switching tips, which is.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's.
I haven't heard that about the primer, so, okay. Because of the thickness of the product?
The viscosity.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the percentage of solids on the primer, do you know?
It's high.
It's high.
Yeah, it's very high. It's typically because they don't sell a lot, and they have to have certain bases in stock to tint. I mean,
Tintings, I mean, the charges are insane to
Yeah.
tint your product.
well, and I can tell you the red, if a distributor tinted, that's $147 in tint fees,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
So, and I can show you, I can pull it up on my computer to show you that reds and blue. Back to the, well, I want to go back to the, if we can, just like we did with Lowe's, if we can get in, if we have one-offs, it's harder for me to say, let's do it direct, but if you say, hey, I got 10 coming up, I'll send it direct to you.
Okay.
I'll tint it at the point.
When they have some winter issues, Erie or some other sites that we've done, and I guess they're looking around as far as which product to use.
BMC, breathable masonry coating from Prosoco, or it's actually the BMC2. Are you familiar with Prosoco stuff, John? With Target, that last year they absolutely put Prosoco's BMC2 against Stowe's Lotusing.
Okay.
So, and that's been the test that you may or may not be aware of.
No.
Okay, so that was done last year. We did both stores, and right now they're monitoring both products to see which one would be the better product going forward.
Okay.
We expressed a preference for Stowe Lotusing. You didn't like the BMC2.
No, it had some kind of emulsion in it that just absolutely
really?
clogged our pumps up.
It was tough to spray.
It was impossible.
Right.
We were strained, we had to break it down, agitated, just to break down whatever's in that paint to pass it through
Yeah.
the filters.
So you're straining a lot?
We were straining, we had to strain it, yes,
Okay.
a lot.
Stars, but I would say why? Well, we have a track record. We got 4 years of Lowe's that are kind of pretty much the same type of construction
Sure.
that you can show out there where we had and we have KTF how it's performed over the years. So going back to the mud cracking, I've been told by our chemist who developed this from our German
It's the application.
product. Go manufacturer's response.
Been doing 20 years.
Well, John, if you just, you know, who's ever had a paint sprayer in my hand, let me tell you how to do it. No, actually, our chemist has said we're really close to having a more elastomeric version. It's hopefully going to eliminate some of that. So I hope to have that by, you know.
And
by
let's, I mean, let's, you know, what are the ramifications of the mud cracking? I mean, besides looking at the building six, are we saying that it's gonna prematurely fail? Are we saying that it's gonna get dirty? I mean, like, so like our,
The
yes,
performance
it's like,
is
the
the same?
performance is the same, so, you know, and in fact, Lowe's had said that to me. And, you know, because we were looking at some old mud cracking, I was walking with, I think Kevin, and maybe even Pat Burns locally, and
Yeah.
Pat like, goes, Ronnie, I don't get that close to the building, so I don't care about the mud cracking.
Yeah.
But Kevin had said, yeah, it's there, but it's not gonna really affect the performance.
I've given them a letter early
Oh, okay.
on saying, and we do the same test with it, you see what happens.
That's pretty cool.
That's that super hydrophobic coating. That's that, see how that looks like a
Wow.
marble floating on there?
Yeah.
That's the definition of super hydrophobic. Okay, usually I can get those two together.
That's when you seal
There
the
we go.
deal with that.
Yeah, like, you know, you got dirt, excessive dirt pickup, you got mold and mildew. To get mold and mildew, you need to have two things. You need to have,
Would it still react like that?
yeah, we actually make this in a textured EIFS
Yeah, there's
finish.
a lot of the building, yeah,
It's
okay.
called Stove-Lit Lotuson. All the CD would just beat up and roll off.
No, that's
Alright.
pretty cool.
Again, that wasn't the selling point to Lowe's 4 years ago. The selling point to them was that it's breathable. We put this on our lumber wall after we stripped the lumber wall so much, and the coating is going to stay on there. It's the other thing about the Lotus effect. The Lotus effect, as it ages, it gets better. Okay, a lot of people ask, you know, when does that disappear? When do you not see that anymore? We don't know.
Because they're used to a coat of wax dying, like, so
Yeah,
it reminds you of wax.
Dissipating,
And I'm
right?
thinking, okay, 3 months later, that wax is going to
Yep.
dissipate, correct?
Yeah. So if you as it normally degrades, that Lotus effect gets better. So that angle of that bead, that water bead gets even greater. All right. So we don't know how long it lasts. We've got it on our plant in Atlanta. I think it's about 17 years now. It's on there. You still go out and you squirt water on it. Now you squirt water on it, it bounces off on you. So I would say go back to a Lowe's that you've done, you know, earlier in the year. Do that little test on it.
Sure.
It's pretty amazing
Sure.
to show people.
Sure.
My big accounts, you know, obviously Lowe's, Target. Again, we've talked to the guys at Target.
Are you exclusive with them?
Not for the coating. No, I'm working on it, and to the point to where, kind of like the Lowe's story, I got to go in and tell them, give me your worst case. All right, let me prove to you that this will work. They just kind of led to another, and then they decided to use it on all their properties, and that's kind of where I'm going with Target. So.
Well, you know, again, I say if you develop a program called Stow Direct,
Yeah.
and you can service them to the point where if you're willing to do those, consultations or whatever you call them.
Site assessments, yeah.
Assessments.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do site assessments and go Stow Direct in exchange for exclusive targets, can be tough to go exclusive, but I think they're close. I think they're close because they would,
Yeah.
you know, love both of those, you know, with the Lotus and above
Yeah.
the typical acrylics that
Right.
they're speccing. So
Yeah, I mean, as far as direct, again, we put that together in just a matter of just a couple of weeks because we were trying to go through our distributors and we just said it's not working. You know, I'm getting more and more complaints.
Does Lowe's sell your product?
No,
And they were
They don't know that.
back chart, or I guess at the end of the job, multiple orders.
place, and all of a sudden, we changed gears. You know, now I have to get credit apps from RJB and, you know, all the other contractors, and we gotta set you guys up in the system, which is another no-no in our
Oh.
industry,
I mean,
right?
you get paid for lean. I mean, they
Right,
can
right.
easily lean out a building and Lowe's Lowe's, though every state's different, you don't wanna go down that road, cause then
No.
you mess with the relationship, but ultimately, they could do that. I looked at it too from a business perspective, I said, man, that's a big change
It
from
is.
Lowe's paying.
We're nervous.
Oh,
We were
as you
nervous.
should be, as you should be,
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad to hear you
there's,
get
there's
paid.
no markup if we're buying directly from you, correct?
No.
Yeah, everyone gets the same price.
Yeah.
Everyone gets the same price, so, no, but that was, from a business perspective, I looked at you're gonna pay your bills, then why the hell would we use you? You know, that's symptomatic of something else going on with the company if they're not able to pay.
Well, he told me, he said, we'll even go as far as we'll give you a direct, oh, that made us feel a little better.
Yeah, sure, I would imagine.
And once the bills started rolling, the money started rolling in, we're like, okay, you know, then our finance people got off my butt about it. So.
Well, and it was funny, because in the meeting, I think you had said 30 days, and then everyone, you know, there were like 10 modes, I think. Then I think you went to 6, are you guys at 6?
60. We're at 60.
Yeah, they're at 60.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm like, wow, they just, like, all those finance people must have been pissed off.
Oh, yeah, I caught it after that.
With these invoices, should have it.
And I'll tell you, Tammy is, it's 61 days, or actually 55 days. Hey, just want to know where these invoices are.
Yeah.
Don't ignore her emails, you know, and don't tell her the check's in the mail if it's not. You know, Tammy's, you know, been doing this for 20 some odd years, so she's heard all the stories, but she's very easy to work with if you talk to her.
Pay it. They'll just ignore it and just say, we don't know, we don't want to pay it.
What's that? What do you mean?
The invoice.
Oh, yeah, no, they won't do that. It's
We
just-
can't pay it right now, and string
No,
it
it's
along.
just-
and-
No, I'll tell you, early on, we had a situation where people, actually, one of the checks showed up at our plant in Rutland. Well,
Yeah.
I think the checks go to a P.O. box in Dallas or something. And I don't know if you guys are interested in this or not, but we'll do ACH, where we can do the automatic check or whatever, so,
Yeah.
whatever. But we got
Do
a
we
couple
do
guys
that?
that are doing that.
We don't do that?
We
We
just
pay
send
by
a
check.
Yeah.
And when do we send the check out typically? 5 days before it's due?
Usually,
3?
yeah.
Okay.
Now, I've never seen you guys on the list, so I mean, that's, you know.
No,
Yeah, it works fine. The only issue was we were sending the check to the wrong,
Yeah, and that may have been one, yeah.
How'd that happen?
We went downstairs and got the address off the paint pal.
Obviously, you know, I think we can leverage the relationship a little bit. John, one second, let me just make this point, right? So I think we can leverage the relationship between the two companies, you know, as we go and approach different brands. Where do you see Stowe going? How can,
And let these guys just do Lowe's. Why don't I, you know, talk to these guys more and see what we can do together? And that's what we started doing. And, you know, obviously, the tide's changing a little bit with those guys. And that they're starting to realize that, you know, that we can probably help them in that respect. So yeah, the big boxes, Walmart's kind of the big 900-pound elephant, but, you know, I don't give up, so I'll keep hammering.
Walmart doesn't spend money.
No, right,
And they want,
Right.
and that's why I don't even go after Walmart
Yeah.
projects, because
it's tough,
they want it for nothing.
yeah. But I got a contact in Walmart, their proto architect, and he absolutely loves it. My same story, give me your worst buildings, let's prove it out.
right?
So, but again, they're using the cheapest of the cheap.
How important is the contractor, the person putting the product on?
It's very important. You know, again, you guys understand, I mean, you guys are putting on $400 a gallon stuff on metal,
Right.
you know, on these jobs and stuff like that. So, you know, not to say ours isn't that technical, but like you said, John, the mud cracking and how to, so knowing the little tricks, the ins and outs, but, you know, we don't sell, I really don't have, I'm national accounts, strategic and national accounts, so I want to deal with the RGBs of the world.
Sure.
I don't know what we do in South Florida, you know, which is a big Lotus on market, but I don't know who, you know, I would say probably most of those guys I would not trust to bring to a Lowe's or something like that, so.
Right.
But, you know, we play in all different markets, Felcor Lodging are there, but also Host Hotels, which does the full service Marriott's and Ritz-Carltons, things like that. We just finished a huge Ritz-Carlton over in Maui
Okay.
with Lotus on, so.
I can see
We're-
where we're gonna.
Yet, but, you know, we dropped specs and picked up Bill, I think Specs is dying a little bit,
Yeah.
and, we still do prisms in Philly this year, so we'll just
Yeah.
do prism to do
Yeah.
there. But that build point format, I think, is, for us, more engaging.
Yeah.
And the old style, in terms of interaction with you.
These guys, in your meeting with decision makers there, you're looking at VPs and up
Sure.
by us,
Yep,
you know.
I know.
And, but,
I know.
the build point people, they do a phenomenal job of getting you with those people. It's not just the boardroom and the one-on-ones, it's the cocktail hour, the cocktail reception and dinner. They do a phenomenal job of it, so.
That's great.
Well, that's good, you're gonna be here, I'll see you then.
Yeah.
San Antonio this year, I believe, isn't it?
Texas, I think,
Yeah.
and is that, well, we're doing, the build point, was that March? No, we're a real
Yeah.
huge market for this.
Yeah, we do, well, with Build Point, we found, I typically like Hotel Point better. Build Point, you'll get, and this is something where we have not done a very good job, or we haven't gotten in, I can't say we haven't done a good job because we've tried, but with like grocery store chains.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just so hard to figure out, and then, you meet with somebody and they're regional, that weight panel that could be put on there for that. And then we started talking to them about the recoats of the building. We've probably done 20, 25 recoats this year with the Lotus. They've had some pretty extreme odors and situations. We put on this product and it's pretty much eliminated the odors. So-
Nursing homes and all that.
Schools, hospitals, nursing homes, that type of situation. Not necessarily in clean rooms, but like in hallways and things like that.
Hotels.
That are well lit. A hospital is typically well lit.
Maybe kitchens or some restaurants application.
The chemist on this, but they tell me it's photocatalytic TiO2, so I'm sure you probably Google it, but
Interesting,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, I didn't know
it
that.
works off of light.
That's amazing.
And, so,
Very high solids, that's a type
Do you have
Run the light, just regular light. Talk for 15 minutes or so. You first of all, you pass around, everybody smell it. You can kind of smell the perfume and see the stain. It's a pink stain that it leaves. And then after you get done with your presentation, you go pick it up and organic.
so is there any sort of germ writing capabilities, or?
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Really? But conceptually, there should be, though.
There should be, yeah. Yeah, so it has to be inorganic colorant. So your light beiges, your earth tones, things like that, that's where we stay with this. So you can't do dark colors with this.
So it's just a smaller color wheel.
Yeah, but typically inside, this is what you're gonna have, right? White ceiling and light beige walls or whatever.
Because,
So-
they talk about, so coatings 20 years from now,
Coatings
right,
will
functional,
be gone,
okay, functional
Yep.
coatings, and, you even take something like, and I know I'm getting real crazy here, but, there's potentially 10,000 new cases of Ebola beginning of December.
Second one in Dallas right now.
Right, and, so, not that pain next year, I mean, it's real easy to justify increased costs because of fact, something like this. And it's just interesting to me to see if it
Usually the ventilation though,
Yeah.
like.
But I
the
think that this may help neutralize something like
cures
this.
cancer.
Just fun stuff to think about.
Yeah.
Always. fun.
Yeah, I mean, again,
If there's anything out there, they may not buy it, but boy,
Yeah.
that's cool. Ron came in and talked about a paint that ate odors. I mean,
Yeah. I use that a lot because, I tell people, we're a German company.
Wow.
Typically, Billy likes to see, you give us a pretty high resolution shot of a next elevation, and he can do wonders with it.
Just from the photo.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, and he can, again, change the design, so
the brand is usually acts, with some of the architectural details. We have this sort of building that I don't know how the heck I'm gonna make it look more like the brand. Perhaps that'd be a great application. Guys, so we're just
Thank
gonna
you.
wrap up.
call me if I can help you with anything.
John, thank you. Thanks. Nick, you're good. And Ryan, Donna, myself, and Chuck are.
Not the lunch break.
Video, one-on-one,
This as far as, this is stone out. Oh, so this actually is gonna be used. They look like they're like screwed in.
Screwed in?
Yeah.
Why don't you say your name and say what you do here?
Okay. Hi, my name is Sandy Smith. I am the controller of RJB Contracting. I've worked here for 15 years. I've known Ron personally for 20. Basically, my role here is finances. I take care of everything from invoicing to paying bills. What else?
That's great. Talk about the integrity here, working here, what it's like to work with Ron and all the good people here.
One of the things I value most about working for RJB Contracting and Ron specifically is he has great integrity. We have, wait, I have to think about how I want to say that.
You started off perfectly. That was great.
Sorry.
You
can edit all this,
absolutely.
right?
Yep, certainly. Just pick it up with talk about his integrity, expand a couple sentences on it, say, whenever you're ready, you're doing a great job.
Okay. As I said, one of the things that I value most is integrity. I value respect. And I wouldn't work for a company that didn't also hold those values high. I need to write these things down. I mean, like, seriously, I would be so much better if I could write down.
Week, just because, or like in a week, maybe, really whenever, but just because we're fighting the weather. Just like if you have, Bo, you want to free up your best guy to run that circus.
He's our go-to.
That circus through town. Only because Donnie has a difficult time getting along well with others, and I think Bo has a pretty good relationship.
On you though, I mean.
Yeah, it's on you. And if you
I was
can't
gonna
do
say
it,
take 'em.
I can get, like, if you don't. And it's, the structural steel. It's not spraying, can do it, it's not that difficult, right?
We're leaving that Friday night. They want to stay for 2
Okay.
weeks consecutive right now. So when they came home Friday, I said, we'll figure out if we have some other work for you to do Monday.
You're ready.
Okay. My name is Sandy Smith. I am controller of RJB Contracting. And in that realm, I take care of the finances, both payables and receivables. Why RJB Contracting? And I came to work for them 15 years ago. Ron portrays the values that I hold very high in my own life. Integrity, honor, respect are all standards that are held at a very high level in this company. I value that personally as an employee and just as a person. I can't think of anything else to say.
That's perfect, actually.
Stop. Was that?
Interior and exterior, so it's a week of the front wall. Have you ever done an interior? Night work?
Columns.
Columns?
It's like 49 of them, something like that.
Yeah. But
Monument sign.
the monument sign, the monument signs included in the scope. The light poles, the cabinets, which are typical canopies. Nothing with the garden center fence. This
Just the
tube
orange.
steel gets hand painted to white.
Oh, white.
Anytime you're ready, my friend, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nick with RJB Contracting. Ron brought me on about 2 years ago to develop a construction department within the company, utilizing my 25 years of ground up and specialty construction projects. We know Ron is a real process guy, wants to improve projects through their processes. And so using some of the interesting processes in the past, we can bring that together and using requirements management and customer relationships and just streamline those processes to make the projects flow smooth. Man, I'm messing up, dude.
That's good, actually. That's perfect. That was good.
What else?
That's perfect, actually. You ready? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Donna Todd. I work for RJB Contracting. I have been with, I'm sorry. Can you do this again?
Don't worry, it's all good.
Hi, my name is Donna Todd. I work for RJB Contracting. I'm in the accounts payable department. I have been working for Ron for about a year. Originally, I worked for the company and just recently came back. I enjoy being here at RJB. I like the employees. I like the type of business we're in. And it's very exciting to see where the company is going. And I'm glad to be a part of that. Thank you.
Marianne?
That's for Pro Rep.
That's
Some
our
stores-
internal support for
Some stores do cabinets better than others. Some
do.
Right.
Gotcha.
So,
Well,
for them, right?
okay, I could. I was-
You have the ability and the authorization to pay for them, so pay for them.
Okay, we'll do. And I will email you everything. And you as well.
Great job.
I'll CC you on email once I get everything.
okay.
Clarification on the communication board locations?
No.
You didn't say anything about that?
No.
Okay. We'll follow up with
But I
that.
did talk to John and I know where to get them.
Oh, good.
All right. Okay. I'd like you to tell me your name and what you do here, please.
My name is Kurt Fletcher. I'm the Director of Operations here at RJB Contracting. As the Director of Operations, I oversee all the field production and the project managers, and I ensure that the quality standards of our clients are consistently met across all our projects every day. And with that, the scheduling, the crew schedules, and the product delivery schedules are met, and the quality standards are upheld.
Talk about some of the projects you're working on here and the value that you add to the company.
Some of the projects I'm working on, I personally manage the expense projects for our Home Depot account. With that, they're the smaller project types, sign installations, door replacement program across our region in the Northeast, from Virginia north through New York out west to Ohio. It's 8 states we service, 7 program types for Home Depot. So personally, I enjoy managing those. It's a lot of technical management. There's multiple software systems involved managing those projects, as well as the front of the house work, coordinating the production, the crew schedules, the product applications, and so on. The equipment, movement, trucks, resources allocation. That's stuff that I personally enjoy because it blends technical with the field side of the business, and that keeps me busy. How how I add value to the company is I don't know how I add value. Why am I here? I think that I'm able to effectively manage the manager's schedules and balance their workloads as well as my own, and oversee the production aspect of our business with a sight and with our future production schedule in mind. And I think I'm able to do that pretty effectively, and that's how I'm most valuable to this company.
Be done in 10 minutes, so.
Okay.
Why, did you want to do another take?
Yeah, I mean, just on the value proposition side, there's so much to say.
Doormats.
If you show a guy how to do something and you train them properly how to do it, honestly, it's sort of selfish, but you can take a $13 an hour guy and make him as productive as a $25 an hour person who's been doing it forever. So we're really working hard, just sort of bringing in these younger apprentices from there. So, yeah, it's been, again, relatively new strategy on our part, but the training part of it so that we can keep getting new crews out there. And behind us.
Haven't dedicated all the loads yet. I don't know.
And then it's sort of where a lot of our products are stored and for different jobs, pick up the product and then we'll basically go from there. So, almost construction stuff on this wall and what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do, we have a lot of, the $400 guarantee. Let's keep it under lock and key. It's so expensive.
I should call you.
Yeah, no, I know.
So, I don't know
Overcook
what
something
you
like
want
that,
to do
and
with
it's
this
gonna
stuff.
be very expensive. But actually, it's pretty decent product.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
We've been getting some really good results.
Can you,
Hey, Rhino, did you want to go out to lunch, or we're going to truck at 4 o'clock? We ought to get him to the airport by 2:30.
You don't have any, you're not checking any luggage or anything, right?
No, but I want to get
But
that.
this weather is super might be pretty bad, so
Yeah.
it might be good for you to leave, just get right on it, if that makes sense. If you're cool with that, right?
What's that? Get out of here now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll grab something there.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's bring it on up and.
yeah? Let's see, I could open up our tools, but
Oh, cool.
I got a couple guys down there.
Cool.
I was just down there the last 2 days.
Nice. We need to get in with those guys, so if we get a program together, absolutely. You guys are already set up anyways.
Yeah. You said you did a lot with CBS.
Yeah, well,
A ton of them around here.
yeah, and we're just now getting into my boss actually runs that account.
Pleasure.
Hey, Ryan, thanks
Thanks
a
for
lot.
your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure we'll be
You know where
talking.
you're going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
I'll GPS it. So.
Just come out here and make a ride.
All right.
Okay.
I'm just getting video of you doing like this. It's
Okay.
like you're working. It looks. I'm not showing your email. I'm just showing you typing.
I can't believe we got a whole one on hole number 9.
What's that? Oh, with the apple phones? Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And a 91, that's a pretty good day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good day.
In history.
Great, no, that's not.
1776?
Greatest day in history. 05/26/1967, my birthday.
Oh, God.
57?
05/26/67.
67.
57.
Jesus.
Construction for Home Depot.
Kent Swank.
Yeah.
No, there's no reason to go to him.
Ron, can you pick up your cell phone and pretend like you're multitasking and just pretend like you're
Not go to him,
wheeling and dealing?
you know, set something up where.
We could, we have pretty good, see, the thing about him,
And then one more, can you like open up a file cabinet or something? Like pretend like you have to act, like, I want to see you moving, that's it. That's,
His colleague, who oversees the facilities and the cleaning, not the new build and the construction side, the maintenance. That's what I was looking for. So, and
That's what Ted's going to do.
yeah, that's that person we've had a long-standing relationship with. Doesn't necessarily get
That's perfect.
that one person. We don't really want this girl. So that's the reason
That's good for me to know. Yeah.
for that. Yeah, specifically, she's our best resource
Okay.
in terms of.
So what's her name?
Her name is Kathleen Eaton.
And she's for facilities, right?
Yeah, she is the senior director of operations for building services.
perfect.
Donna,
What do you want to do?
walk in and bring this book to me.
And there's no sound in this, so you can, you know,
Okay.
you can,
Just walk in, bring the book, and you're gonna ask me for advice, and I'm gonna put it here.
Ron, can I get your advice on this, please?
Sure. I don't know. They gotta sell it. Tony, what do you think? They're selling it?
this is, they're doing great, this is good.
All right.
Economical, all-purpose ceiling tile, nothing about the grid, so we paint the grid in that case. And then install these refrigerators, which I'm sure Kurt will probably screw it up.
Yep.
And the microwaves, Kurt will.
I got it in my kitchen now at home. It's fantastic.
If you want a photobomb, you can jump in there too, if you want to, you know, jump in and maybe join the,
Okay, all right. Don't see now. You guys are all looking over here. I'm gonna have to come in from over here. So
Yeah.
you keep looking down.
Kurt, we really need your
Pump it
help.
up a little.
We really need your help.
This is the right way to do it.
Oh, God. Some people are destined not to be here long. And as you can see with the photometrics.
Oh, the photometrics.
Yeah.
I know all
for-
about that.
Just basically the light
With thermal
dispersion.
lighting.
Yes.
Yes.
Volumetric recessed lighting. Fantastic.
Yes. And we're going with the 2x4.
2x4.
Yeah, 2x4.
Correct.
Versus the 2x2, which is significantly less volume. So
Mm-hmm.
here we go.
that's awesome.
Or the cost of what?
Potentially, if the program developer for Home Depot, which is not necessarily Kathleen,
Right.
it's whoever's overseeing that specific program, so whoever's beneath her has.
That was one of the ones that was done wrong.
Okay. Was this the only one? It was one of the ones done wrong. That's
Yeah.
weird.
All right, Ron.
So I'm Ron Basquet. I'm president and CEO of RJB Contracting, and it's a company that I started back in 1992. I started contracting in 1987 when I was going to college, and was always a contractor over the summer times. And when I graduated from college, I decided to take this on full time. So we've been under the auspices of RJB since 1992. It's been a great run. It's been a great run, and I've been fortunate and blessed to have some great employees work for me. You know, I think early on, since I started, I valued I valued integrity as probably one of our most important aspects here at RJB. Integrity for me, it's sort of black or white. Either you have it or you don't. And for me, and what I try to instill in everyone who works here at RJB is every single thing you do, whether the customer sees it or not, you need to live to your internal values. And we work very hard. We do lots of great projects for lots of very successful companies across the country. And I just feel like we consistently have a sense of honesty, integrity that further builds a lot of trust with our clients. And a lot of our clients have been with us for 10 to 15 to 18 years. And once you build that trust, you have to continue to earn it. You know, I'm a big proponent of you're only as good as your last job. So I certainly don't take it for granted. But I mean, I love coming to work every day, and I love working with our clients because, you know, we sort of face the same challenges together. And again, if you just approach it with that consistent sense of integrity and working hard to find a solution, most likely there is a solution, and we'll certainly make it happen for the client. When you think about the different touch points to RJB, I often speak to my employees about readiness. That's an important concept to me. When you call or email or somehow contact us, I want you to have the feeling that we're ready, that my employees are ready to handle whatever you're calling about, to whatever situation, whether it be a few more jobs that we need to get done before the quarter, whether we want to put something to the next quarter, whether we have a different substrate or a different part of the facility that we want to work on. That idea of readiness, where the customer can call us and have that feeling that, you know what, when I call them, they're going to jump on it. When I call them, they're going to listen and understand what my needs are. That's what I really try to instill in my employees as well, that they act and they feel ready for whatever challenge may come to us on any particular day. There's lots of them. That's what makes it fun for us. You know, we have a lot of fun doing what we do. And again, just that we can handle a lot of different types of situations and handle them professionally and work for a lot of very prestigious companies is, again, a really good feeling for me. Contracting's changed. Back in the early 90s, I remember, I think we were still doing estimates, handwritten estimates. So we've come a long way since the early 90s, and construction and coatings and systems have just the process of doing business is much different than what it was in the 90s. And as I look forward, you know, I see, when I look at my line items for the different amounts of money that I invest in the company, there's really two sort of areas that we're spending an inordinate amount of money, or we're spending more money than what our competitors are, and that's information technology, IT, and that's training as well. And over the last year, we've built a fairly significant training center in our building where we can take just young, hard-working men and women and spend 2 to 3 weeks training them and running them through different aspects of a construction job and giving them the confidence to go onto a job and say, you know what, I've learned this before, I've done this before. And we have a lot of great employees and a lot of great subcontractors, and I consistently see that the more time that we spend training them and doing it the RJB way, the better off that we are in the field. And you know, again, time and time again, that investment that we put in that particular subcontractor or employee from day one seems to pay off year after year after year. So, I'm going to continue to spend money on training and continue to develop our training programs. But with that, I continue to look at the different information technology systems out there, and by far, that's it's pretty common knowledge how much it's changed over the last 2 decades. But my biggest spend this year is going to be on IT, and ultimately, for me, IT is the backbone of all of our values, so to speak. It's how we can deliver on our values in a seamless way. The construction company of tomorrow is going to be extremely transparent. And sort of what I mean by that is the technician in the field will have, and currently has an app on their phone in which they're able to take pictures, enter job information, enter job status reports, and basically give you a snapshot of any particular job site that we're working on in any particular time. And that information is quickly vertically integrated throughout our entire company. So the foreman sees the information, the project manager sees the information, our VP of construction sees the information. Again, this is the same information that everyone is seeing vertically throughout our company. It's real time, and it is accurate, and enables us, again, to manage and collaborate with exactly what's going on in the job. And with that vertical sort of transmission of that information, what I then do is just flip it around and allow the customer to see the same information. So it gives a great amount of transparency to even the guy or the gal working on the job. The customer, in essence, has a pretty good view in terms of exactly what's being done on their job site, exactly how it's getting done. And quite frankly, again, years ago in the early 90s, we sort of looked at 3 different attributes of a construction company, and it was price, speed, and quality. And the decision maker maybe 10 to 15 years ago used to say to me, well, Ron, if you have 2 of the 3, you're in pretty good shape. Again, price, speed, and quality. It's changed now to where you need 3 of the 3, all 3 of them. And we're constantly looking at those 3 general types of attributes. And I go back to that backbone of our software and that transparency. And just on a recent job where we pulled it apart, we realized that there's about 420 different sort of small tasks associated with a store remodel. And with those 420 tasks, we worked very hard in eliminating, in some cases, only 5 minutes from a task. But there were some cases where we could eliminate 4 to 5 hours from a task. There were some situations where we could combine tasks. And we're just constantly looking at the way we do things, our processes, eliminating those small errors. We still make little tiny errors, but those things tend to add up. And by actually looking at those different tasks and reducing the amount of errors and becoming more efficient on the job site, again, yes, we were able to do a job in less time than we were a year ago. And some of my customers may think, well, geez, you're not spending as much time on the job. Actually, the quality's better, even though we've done it a little bit quicker. When you have employees that are incredibly efficient, it motivates them to stay efficient. And when you have processes where they're not quite working correctly and you have to sort of redo something, quite frankly, it's not as good, the final product, as if it were done efficiently and correctly the first time. And again, those little types of processes, which are in the hundreds in a lot of these jobs, by having this software system and really being able to, on a daily basis, look at what goes on at a job, we're able to get some of our managers in there and further develop those processes, and that's going to be a monthly and a yearly part of continuously practicing improvement. And I see that continuing to drive those 3 out of 3 price, quality, and speed is something that's super important to us. At the end of the day, again, we want to build trust with the people that we work with. That is absolutely the glue that holds me together with my employees. It's the glue with our suppliers. It's the glue with our subcontractors, which in essence is the glue to our customers. So again, we start with that integrity, we build that trust, and it again creates a real environment where we work hard, we play hard, and again, we just take a tremendous amount of satisfaction in the work that we do for our clients.
You ready, Ron?
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
So again, back when we first started the company, it was me and 2 foremen and 4 painters, and we started as a painting company in 1992. And to this day, I still learn a lot from the job sites. Oftentimes, I'm not sort of the typical corporate guy where I sit in the big fancy office all day. 2 of the 5 days, you'll typically find me on the job site. I learn so much from the job site. First of all, I like to talk to my employees, see what processes they're doing differently, or what new things they're trying, to see how the job's going, but also talk to my customer. A lot of times when we work in a facility, our customer is certainly at the headquarters of the company that we're working for, but when we go into these retail facilities, it's typically the store managers, it's their house. And it's important for me to make sure that we are respecting their house, so to speak. So I'll talk to the store manager, I'll see what the crew, how the crew is doing. I'll talk to the actual crew themselves and see if there's anything we can do internally to make their job a little bit easier. So I love the job site. I love, again, visiting the different crews and the different customers that we have out there. And we're using a lot of different coatings and companies, and coatings have evolved dramatically over the last 20 years, and something with the VOC and the volatile organic components that have been removed from coatings over the last 20 years. We're finding that there's different ways to apply it, different millages to apply it at, and different preparation or prep concerns that we have associated with the longevity or the useful life of the coating. So again, there's so much to learn in the field, and I just sort of take it all in, and when I'm back in the office and meeting with my different supervisors again, I always feel like I have that practical job site knowledge and the ability to articulate what's going on in a job and going well. Oftentimes I find myself driving and thinking, and as competition and as this industry's evolved over the last 15 to 20 years, I think what's going to make us stand apart. And my own personal value of integrity and honesty. How can I continue to talk to my employees about that and continue to let them know that, yes, mistakes happen. It's important for us to recognize why it happened, but we ought not to hide from something like that. Customers can see that we make mistakes. We fix them. But again, I think just shows the humanness to our company if in fact we're able to admit that and let them know that we're going to fix it. And there's been many of times when I probably could have said nothing, but I've told the customer that we did make a mistake and that we are going to fix it. But ultimately, that integrity or that honesty, so to speak, in every single process that we have here at RJB is very, very important to me. And we've had employees not last, and in most cases, it's because that's the one tenement, or that's the one tenant in my company that I have no flexibility with, and it's just, again, a very important one to me. As we move out over the next 10 to 15 years, we continue to invest in our technology, we continue to invest in our training programs, and we are working hard to expand our services and to continue to leverage just all the great customers that we have now and all the great services that we provide, and continue to add services. The contractor of the future is going to be multifaceted to a certain degree, and the sort of just pure specialization I think is going to change, and again, I think we're going to find contractors being able to offer a lot more services as we get down the road.
Perfect, Ron. That's awesome. All right, why don't you start? Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to make this as.
Why don't you say your name and what you do here? Please?
Okay. My name is Ryan Spratt. I am the project manager for RJB. I handle a number of different accounts, and I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry. We're gonna start over.
That's fine. You're doing great. Just say your name and what you do here again, and just say you handle multiple different. You're like a project manager, or are you a project manager? All right. Go ahead.
My name is Ryan Spratt. I am a project manager for RJB. I handle a number of different clients ranging from Lowe's, Targets, Home Depots. I've been working for Ron for almost 3 years now. What I like about the company is the flexibility, the combination of a good young core that we have here, as well as a blend of the older guys with a wealth of knowledge that have given me a lot of direction over the last couple of years. Also love to travel. All up and down the East Coast, got to see a good part of the West Coast as well. Yeah. What else you need, my man?
That's perfect.